Hello, welcome to my channel, A Book Forest. My name is Kim, and today I'm going to be reviewing the book by Robert Macfarlane. It's called Is a River Alive? It was published in May, and it's my first read by Robert Macfarlane. I had a reader copy provided for me by NetGalley, and I got it on the Kindle. So it's not my usual type of reads. It's a non-fiction, and it's essentially Robert Macfarlane, who is a Cambridge educated fellow, and he was educated in literature, and I think he has a lot of love of nature, so he's done a lot of work bringing awareness towards nature and the problems surrounding it, and also not fairy tales, but myths and legends and things like that. I don't know a ton about him, but he is interesting. And the book Is a River Alive is more about his travel journeys. He's doing 3 journeys in 3 different countries and discovering 3 different beautiful rivers. The first one is in Ecuador, and it's in the high cloud forest, not a jungle, like almost a jungle, but higher. And he's meeting with a lot of different people there. Like, he's meeting with a mushroom specialist, a woman who completely loves mushrooms. She's obsessed with them, and she was very entertaining. Like, she woohoos every time she finds a mushroom in the forest. And he's meeting with a lot of other people who are legislating in the country and want to basically give rights to rivers. They want to give rights to nature as if they had human rights. So they have the right to live, to not be polluted, things like that. And there are a few places in the world where that has already happened, including Ecuador, New Zealand, Canada. But yeah, he's just telling you about these events, and obviously he's on the side of the environmentalists. But it's very interesting. Like, it's part travel journal, it's part scientific review, it's part activist as well. So there's different facets to those stories. And he also goes to India, in Chennai, where there's a river that's almost dead. So it's totally different from his experience in Ecuador, where the river was not dead yet. Like, there were threats to it from mining. And in India, you see the results of what happens when the river is not protected, and it's pretty dismal. But what he meets a guy there, a young man, who is completely delightful. He had a terribly rough childhood, and he got out of it by basically going to a residential school, and he just ends up loving nature so much that he wants to be preservationist. I don't know exactly the word, but he goes around and he teaches young kids about the nature around them. Yeah, very inspirational and lovely. The thing that really struck me as well in those trips is that he puts, like Robert Macfarlane, he goes to places, like, he seems really intent on putting himself into situations that are a bit extreme, like going to jungles and in snake-infested places in India, which I would not do. I am not a fan of snakes. And also, like, the last river he meets is actually where I'm from, in Quebec, Canada, and it's up north. Like, I've never been that far up north. It's a very wild river, and of course in Quebec we have a lot of hydroelectric dams. That's how we get our electricity. And there's a project of doing probably a dam in that area, so he goes to see the river before, or try to prevent this happening. There's a lot of people there, and then he goes down in a kayak or a canoe down the lake and the river, and it's very extreme. Like, rapids and black flies all over. It's like, I think he wants to put himself in those situations because spiritually it's good for him. Like he seems to take away some good things from those trips. I myself would not. I would not put myself in those situations. I'm like my comfort. But yeah, it was all very well written. I would say a bit flowery, very descriptive, but obviously you're in nature, you want to, that's the main focus, you have to describe the nature, but very well written. I think you can see the Cambridge educated man there, it flows beautifully. And I also think that the characters, the people he meets during those trips are very varied, interesting. They're all different, they have different backgrounds, different interests, different lifestyles. They all have a love of nature, however, but they don't necessarily come at it from all the same angles. Some are from the angle of law, some are from the angle of just being a free spirit in nature. It's lovely. I thought it was interesting. Robert Macfarlane seems like a very intellectual person, a bit of a, I would say, a nerd. Not disparate. Of course, it's good. It's just like he seems like he does come at it to work from an intellectual perspective, and he meets a lot of people who are a bit more free-spirited, a bit more kooky than he is, eccentric, I would call them, in a good way. So he seems to be surrounded by these types of people. Maybe it gets him out of his head, you know. There are, like, he is self-aware. There are some instances where he's talking about a river that's dried up during the summer, like a very hot summer near his home in England, and they're doing like a ceremony. I don't know how to pronounce the word, sorry. And there's a lot of people around, and they're like trying to pray to the gods or something. Or I thought it was a bit theatrical, to be honest. I don't tend to like theatrical stuff. Does help some people. It's like a representation of their feelings toward the situation. I don't think it's practical, so but he does seem self-aware, goes out of himself and be like, yeah, it's a bit silly what we're doing, but yeah, it serves a purpose. They kind of need it emotionally, and it happens a few times during the book that I'm like, okay, that's a bit, what do they call it in English, a woo-woo thing? A bit ceremonial, a bit, yeah, not my thing. I don't tend towards that type of no, but it's fine. It's just not something that touches me. I like practical, down to earth, get to the point things. Like, if you want to protect the river, tell me why. Tell me why it's important. Tell me what's going against it. Tell me what the opposition is thinking. Because there's always an opposite point of view, of course. That's what's a bit lacking in this book. But of course, he talks in the eye, so it's his journal. You're gonna have his opinion. So therefore, I put myself like in the shoes. Like, I actually compared my thoughts with his. I compared my opinions with his. I didn't have really a choice. And sometimes I think he's a bit too one-dimensional in his opinions. I would have liked to have the point of view from like the person who wants to create the mine in the country, the opinion from like the dam, obviously I know the history of our Quebec government with the hydroelectricity. I do live here, so I do get my heat in the winter from those dams, so I'm kind of they're kind of useful. So I would say that maybe we need them, but at the same time, like, I don't think we should go ham and destroy everything in nature just to get precious metals or things like that. Mining, that's very destructive. So yeah, it was enjoyable. I would absolutely recommend reading it if you want to get actual information, actual worthy information about those subjects. Very interesting angle about the law, that people putting into law that rivers or nature has rights, like river rights. I still think it's kind of up to the will of the people putting those rights into law are the ones upholding those laws. As long as they want to uphold them, that's fine, but it's not like it intrinsically has rights, like human rights. It's just as long as people are willing to give people rights, that they're gonna get them. So I'm a bit cynical on that front. It's just a matter of if we're willing to do it or not. I think we should absolutely protect the environment. Rivers are beautiful. Obviously, we need rivers more than they need us. And I do think that we should find ways to not hinder our societies. Obviously, we need heat, we need shelter, we need a lot of things. And we're not gonna, I'm kind of realist. We're not going to go backwards, we're not going to go back and live in huts with no electricity. So I think we should find ways to make the energy that we need, the products, like the materials that we need, and we should find ways to maybe develop them in better, more environmentally conscious ways. For that reason, I enjoy activists or people who are actually forward-facing, who are actually technologically interested. Like, for example, you have the Earthshot Prize that Prince William of England started a few years ago. Like, all the people who get those prizes are just amazing. Like, they're innovators. They're looking for ways to create new technologies to improve the emissions, and to make the world a better place. So those are the kinds of activists, environmentalists I absolutely admire and look to for information. Robert Macfarlane, I would absolutely look for information. He seems like a great person and actually very knowledgeable. I would prefer that to people stopping traffic and gluing themselves to paintings. That's more efficient in my opinion, and it targets the right places. So overall, Is the River Alive is a great book. I'm gonna give it 4 stars, just because it lacked a bit of nuance in my opinion, but it's absolutely entertaining, and you meet a lot of different lovely people. Very interesting. And Robert Macfarlane goes on a spiritual journey, I would call it. And interestingly, I bought this book here by Jackie Morris a couple of months ago, at the same time as I got Is the River Alive. And they did write a book together. Like, she's an artist, Jackie Morris, and she made an illustration for a book that Robert Macfarlane wrote called These Old Words, something like that. So I'm definitely going to look into it. So if you have any insights for me about the author, or if you have any opinions, like maybe my opinions that I gave, you have a different opinion than me, I wouldn't be interested in a conversation about this, because it's very actual and a subject that is of actuality. So yeah, definitely let me know what you think. So see you next time.